The main course, Harry, you'll hit the slide and let's get into the Blues, the Auckland Blues. Can they go one better? Who wants to kick us off?
Yeah, I'll go with the significant ins and outs. So first and foremost, probably the biggest signing in New Zealand, and I say that without completely looking at all the teams, but Patrick Tuipulotu is returning from Japan. He was playing last season for the Toyota Verb Blitz. Huge in for them. He was obviously the captain of the side before he left, arguably in career best form when he left, and I think he was probably pretty close to starting in the All Blacks at that point. Back in the All Blacks backup side, the All Blacks 15 at the back end of last year as well. So straight back into form. He's going to be a big leader for them. You've also got only a couple of other players coming through. We've got Caleb Tangatau, winger from New Zealand Sevens, and also Robbie Rush, who is a back rower from Northland. His dad is the former All Black and New Zealand Sevens legend Eric Rush as well. So obviously great bloodline there. So that's some big ins for them. But obviously some, quite a stable lineup. And in the outs column, we got, probably the biggest ones would be the locks. Josh Goodhue going off to the Black Rams over in Tokyo. Luke Romano is finally retiring. I honestly thought he had another 15 years in him. I don't think he should have left. And big Carl Tui Inokuafe has gone to Montpellier in France. There's a couple of other ones there. Tamati Tua to the Brums, Jordan Lay to Auckland, back to the NPC, and Nigel R. Wong as well, also back to the Bay of Plenty. So a few outs, but such a stable squad in general.
I think Luke Romano, we said last year, retired finally as the only Crusader to have beaten the Crusaders, like the only player to have beaten the Crusaders in Christchurch. Do you know what I mean? Like he's beaten every other team on every field that exists, and he's beaten the Crusaders at Christchurch as well, just in the 1 year that he didn't play for the Crusaders.
I'm pretty sure he started back when the game wasn't professional as well, so huge career for him. It's like 35 years.
He might have been around there with William Webb Ellis, you know what I mean? Like that long ago.
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I think he picked the ball up first. That's what I heard.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, little known story. Cool. All right. Well, Nels, do you want to take us through what we've marked? Who we've got marked for the best 15? Actually, I guess I'm going against Planty. I usually go with the.
Yeah, come on, mate. We don't know anything about props. It's all you. We're trusting.
All right, true. The big boys up front. So Alex Hodgman. We just talked about Carl Tuipulotu has departed from the team. So Alex Hodgman's got that absolutely on lock. He kind of had it on lock last year anyway, but certainly there was a bit more sharing and things. Kurt Eklund will be a starting hooker for sure. And then Nipo Laulala, we think will be starting tight head. He will, of course, be sharing game time, but with Ofa Tuangafasi. But we've marked him up front to begin with. Patrick Tuipulotu, we just talked about him. The man's back, ex-captain, point to prove, wants to get back in that All Black squad for the World Cup this year. He's going to be huge for them and definitely a lock there. And Tommy Robinson, the big sauce. The big red dog. We're thinking, just given the absolute guns in the back row, which Nelson will get to, that if Big Sales wants to feature on the field, it's going to be in the locks in 2023. And Nelson, that takes us to the back row.
We've got Akira Ioane in the 6 jersey with Hoskins Satutu nailing down that 8 jersey. That is a scary 6'8" with Dalton Papali'i in the 7 jersey as well. So that is a absolutely freakish back row. One to watch for sure throughout the season, and it doesn't get much weaker from there with Finlay Christie.
Is that the back row of the comp? I mean, I know we haven't gone through all the teams, but
yeah. Tars are up there, mate.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah. Look, and Finlay Christie with Bowden Barrett in the halves, absolute weapons as well.
Nice.
Hey, do you want to jump across into the centres?
Yeah, mate. So pretty easy one to start. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, I think, is probably going to come into his own and just get more and more game time. So we got him at the inside set of jersey. I think that's his to lose now. He didn't really have competition last year from Harry Plummer, who was out for pretty much the entire year. So there will be a little bit more pressure there, but I don't really see him as a serious contender to take the jersey off him for starting minutes. Rieko Ioane will continue to hold the outside centre jersey. I don't think there's any debate on that one. And then in the outside backs, they are stacked. Caleb Clark, I think, will start on the left wing. Newly capped All Black Mark Talea, I expect to start on the right wing. And then Stephen Perra-Franchise, I've got also, another newly capped fullback All Black will be in the fullback position as well. And I know that just breaks Cargie's heart because his substitute will obviously get to in a moment.
This is true. But how early are you now picking your boy Stephen Pera franchise in the draft? Is he up? He's up there in your top 5 picks. I'm thinking now, Harry.
God, he's got to be up there. Maybe not top 5, mate, but I'm definitely going to go earlier than you. Let's be honest.
Very good. All right, now on to the reserves. Suwani Vikena will be backing up at hooker. James Lay will probably be backing up Alex Hodgman in the loose head.
I would say probably not, considering he's left the squad.
I think you might be thinking of Jordan Lay, his brother, Harry. James Lay.
Is that right?
Is in the squad, yes.
Jeez. Who is James Lay then?
It shows how I've been paying attention to the props. The Blues have just been so stacked with All Blacks props that, I've never even looked past the first 4 usually. But
no, that's right. Who knows?
He's 29. He's played for Samoa. He's been in and around the squad, for a couple of years and played a little bit of Auckland and Bay of Plenty and things prior to that. A bit of Bristol Bears as well. So
have you just picked him because he's Jordan's Lay's brother? Like it's just the obvious easy substitute, or is there more to it than that?
There's more to it, mate. He's the guy.
All right. Well, look, as much as I love talking
Marcel Renata, can he play loose head, guys?
He can, absolutely. Yeah, Renata can. Yeah.
I think it'll probably be him. That's going to be my pick.
Okay. And Ofa Tuangafasi will be back. Let's push on. Tuangafasi will be backing up in tight head, and he, expect a lot of game time sharing there throughout the season as they manage the 2 All Blacks tight heads, frankly. So, and Nels, do you want to take us on to our reserve lock and row?
Yeah, look, we've gone for Sam Darry and Adrian Choate in the lock end sort of back row cover. There's a few guys in and around the squad that might get a bit of game time there, but that's who we've picked for those 2 roles.
Yeah,
obviously, guys, I'm just going to make a quick change here because I think it's important for those to get rewarded for being on the podcast on YouTube. And I really want to show you why James Lay, will be the player that starts at the reserve loose head for the Blues.
This is what you get in a live show. I mean, Harry's trying to do a great job of stalling while.
Honestly, I'm doing my absolute best, but I know I'm failing horribly, aren't I? But let's just pretend like this was a smooth transition that worked very, very well. So for those that are playing along at home on YouTube, how about this bloke? This is the new Lay brother. If that's not just Carl Tuinukuafe reincarnate, then I don't know who is. Like, he dead set has the same mo, the bald head. He's just got the same haircut, mate. They have brought in the merger of the old Lay and the old Tuinukuafe, and they've got the newer, better version in Jordan Lay.
He just hasn't been out of the beach as long, basically. You know what I mean? Just a few shades.
That's what it looks like. He doesn't have as good of a tan, but
it's outstanding, mate. It is outstanding.
And look, his mo is great, but it's certainly not quite up to Carl Tuinukuafe levels. But that's all right.
The most baffling thing, Harry, if you want to put up the last photo I sent in the chat, was your Blues team you named with James Lay in it. It's like you don't know there's different Lays.
I wouldn't have a clue.
This is as we iron off the rust to start off the season again. This is how you know this is live and we don't edit anything because mainly because we're too lazy, but also that's just how we roll.
Let's run it out. We've got Sammy Knock, we've got AJ Lamb, Zahn Sullivan, some absolute dynamic players with AJ Lamb, Zahn Sullivan there. Exciting players that can cover a few positions across that back line as well.
Look, AJ Lamb basically had his breakout season last year, and he's going to be relegated to the bench because Talea just went to newer heights and started playing for the All Blacks at the end of the year. Like, it's pretty tough for him. He did absolutely everything right. He's going to find himself out of the 15. And Zahn Sullivan, 2 seasons ago, I thought he'd taken the jersey off Para franchise. And I know Cargie, I'm pretty sure he was about your number 1 pick in fantasy footy. So I think you actually genuinely named him as the top fantasy scorer for 2021.
Look, I don't want to go as far as to say that I maybe called him the next Will Jordan, but maybe I called him the next Will Jordan a few years ago. I don't know. But no, moving on. Stephen Pera franchise has been looking absolutely incredible. And how good to have AJ Lamb. I mean, unlucky for him, but how good to have him fill in like when needed. And he can play 13 as well, But anyway, key questions for the Blues. I alluded to it as we kicked off. How do they go one further? Or can they go one further than 2022 by beating the Crusaders in the final again in 2023? Are we calling that to be the final again in 2023? Is anyone bold enough to pick something else? Or
Waratahs, mate. Come on.
Oh, sorry. Of course. It'd be Tars, Blues, not even Crusaders. They're not even in it. You know what I mean? It's fine.
Look, I think the biggest thing is that they were very, very good last year. They've got basically the same squad, except where they were a little bit weak at lock. They've now got their 2021 captain, Patrick Tuipulotu, back in. So, yeah, I think they're going to be really, really good. I think their line-out, which was probably not their biggest strength, will be right up there this year with him in there. And, yeah, I think they're a pretty terrifying prospect, to be honest. If they get a little bit of luck their way and they don't have too many injuries, particularly in the forward pack, I think they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, and it's obviously, their season was obviously derailed by Akira Ioane being injured before the first game of last season and then being out for about 2/3 of the season, because we all know he's obviously the most important player in that team.
So, Kagi, in one word, answer this from Andrew Hoffmeister on Twitter. Do you think the Blues can go all the way this season?
Yes.
There you go. You heard it here first.
And that's a lesson for you guys in how to answer a question in one word when asked how to answer it in one word.
Mate, you're still answering the question. All right, so we'll move into the next one. Can anyone new break into the 23, particularly with Perifetta and AJ Lamb establishing themselves as All Blacks?
God, it's tough. Looking across the side, I really don't know who it could be without an injury, to be honest. There's obviously raps from the last couple of years around the likes of someone like a Jacob Radamatavuki-Neepkins. So potentially you would think that he's a chance. Someone in the 23, Sam Darry, I think he might be breaking into the 15 as a lock option over Big Sauce if they want someone that's a specialist in that position. But I don't really know that there's going to be anyone else without injury that might be pushing their way through.
Can we see someone like Tane Plumtree work their way in, at least to maybe cover the bench or get a few runs throughout the season as well?
Yeah, covering the bench, I think. But is he going to be picked over an Adrian Choate? Maybe. But I think Choate had a pretty good back end of the year last year as well. So, yeah, that's probably a closer call on where there is a little bit of a question mark on who takes that jersey as well.
I think that's the better question, isn't it? It's not who can push themselves into the starting 15. It's who can perhaps push themselves into the bench. Because I just looked, we haven't even mentioned Bryce Heem yet, and just how good he would be on the bench there, because he can cover centre, wing. Bowden, of course, can move back to fullback, and he's been pretty amazing.
Daniel Talia, Harry Plummer. There's a few other guys there who've had a bit of game time.
Exactly. This team's battle for the bench is greater than some teams' battle for starting spots. You know what I mean? It is a bit mental.
I mean, that's why I said they just need to be lucky with their forwards, because their back line, it's 30 players deep. How many players they can drop in that are going to be competitive at the top of the pointy end of the competition?
100%. Is that missing something? What's the go with Riccatelli, boys? How is he not in this bench, mate? He is an absolute weapon.
Oh, look, he just seemed to slide back behind McKenna through the back end of last year, to be honest, so that's why.
He'll be back.
He'd be playing too much golf with Bowden Barrett or something. No, I think, McKenna was definitely the preferred backup. I don't know if it was just, I don't think you can really say just a bigger body, but I think there's really tight competition for both of them. I think Riccatelli was coming hoping for, a fresh start and really a good crack at that second slot in that jersey, because he was really struggling at the Hurricanes to find any game time with Asafra Moore and Van Coles. Spoilers, sorry. But yeah, I think McKenna's probably got the chocolates in that. But
guys, next question. Will Big Sauce play much loose forward? And I guess probably the big one for me here is looking at the potential role of Sam Darry.
Look, I think Big Sauce has been used across, in the locks, in the back row. It really, maybe it depends off, what Akira Ioane do we see throughout this season? Do we see him in form throughout an entire season? Do we see him fade away? And that could be the big thing that's dictating where Big Sauce is. Cargie's nodding that we see him dominate all year. And
I don't think Akira has bad form. There's only good form.
Particularly in Super Rugby.
Yeah, particularly Super Rugby.
It could be half asleep and that's good form, mate.
Look, he definitely has had times where he's faded out of that starting side for periods, and I'm not saying that will happen, but if he is locked in there playing well, no, we don't see Big Sauce in the back row. We just don't see it. Why is he needed?
I agree. I think the question really should be, can he lock down a starting lock position? Because I agree. Like, I think Sam Darry could really be pushing in for starting position if they really want to go that route and have, they have such a dynamic and explosive and high work rate back row that it's not like they need that extra hybrid lock back rower. So they could just want to absolutely lock down set piece, another bigger body. Sam Darry is very good in the line out as well. So I think it's just going to be a tough year for Big Sauce, unless they're managing All Blacks with Hoskins and Akira. That we know there will be a lot of time management for the All Blacks.
The other thing is that he's a leader in that side, right? Like he's captained the side before. So I think that's a big plus for him as well.
Yeah. So I feel like we haven't really answered the question, but we've just kind of thrown out all the factors.
Short answer, yes. We will see him get some game time in back row.
Okay.
And what's the final listener question?
Yeah, the final listener question from Whitaker Walt. What should be Roger Tuivasa-Sheck's realistic expectation for 2023, Harry?
Matt, I think he should be starting every single game for the Blues. And then I think he should be trying to make the All Blacks squad. I don't think he has the chance to start in the All Blacks team. I think there's too much competition between David Havili and Geordie Barrett. I'm sure he's going to set his sights higher than that, but I don't see how, with 8 games left or whatever it is before the World Cup, how he can possibly usurp them, particularly when the form of those two in the last 2 years has been so good. I think he just needs to try and find his way into the squad. And I think last year the big question was, how do they make him a little bit more versatile so he's not only a pure inside centre? And they were trying to do that by showing that he could play on the wing as well. Now, there's so many outside backs in the Blues, it's going to be pretty hard to find an opportunity to slide him out to one of the wings to give him game time there. But I think he probably needs to establish himself as a Super Rugby top-level winger as well if he's going to make that happen.
The other part to this, I was looking across Twitter and I saw the run home from Joel and Fletch, who actually do quite a good radio segment. They had the rumour mill saying that they've heard that RTS, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, is looking to return to Bondi and play for the Roosters, a team that already has 3 or 4 massive fullbacks. Do they want another fullback? That's the real question. But Cargie, the Blues have come out and put a cap down saying this is baloney, mate. Do you think there's any truth to it? Could we see RTS be heading back if he's not having a good year this year?
Look, I would find that hard to believe, but I like to think that there's some undercover agents at work here, because if we can get RTS back to Bondi, then perhaps we can force Joseph Suaalii out and get him into the Wallabies and the Tars. So, I'd like to think that that's what's at play, but no, I can't see RTS leaving, go back to league. I think it's a World Cup year. This is, he's not the spring chicken he used to be, and it'll be all or nothing for him. He's trying exactly what Harry said, push to get in that All Black squad and go to France. So,
surely after this, if he's not making his dream come true and going to the Rugby World Cup, surely he's looking to play rugby in his final years overseas on some bigger money as an All Black rather than heading back to the Roosters. But who knows? Maybe he wants to chase that grand final premiership.
Look, it just wouldn't surprise me if this is his last year in New Zealand rugby. He's 29 years old. Geordie's only 25. Even Havili's 28 years old. So they've all got time on their side over him, and they're the established players or the incumbent players. So I think the reality is he'll probably leave unless he establishes himself as a first-choice All Black, which I doubt will happen. I think this could be the last year we see him. And just to throw it out there, I heard another rumour. I heard he was actually going to go play in the NBA. So just throwing that out there as well. Rumour mill.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Well, let's push on to for the Blues, stocks that are rising. We've already talked about these guys, so we can keep it short and sharp. But Alex Hodgman, so with Carl Tuankoafe heading off, 80
minutes a week.
Yeah, exactly. He was sharing game time before. Now it's just, it's him all day. Simple. And then stocks are rising. Patrick Tuipulotu.
80 minutes a week.
Talked about him a lot. He's playing all the time, and he is going to be hungry. He going to get ball in hand, so should be very good from him. Stocks that are falling. Harry, I'll throw to you on this one because you enjoy rubbing this in my face.
I don't really. I really like watching him play. Zahn Sullivan, I think he was injured. I think he fractured from memory. I got to double check, but he fractured his scapula in round 2 of the NPC last year. So he missed the back end of the year right when they were going to start floating him as a potential 10 option in Auckland as well. So he was obviously trying to expand his skill set and make himself a 10-15 option for the Blues and whoever else All Blacks potentially moving forwards. That got retarded by his injury at the back end of last year. So, he's going to be coming in arguably maybe a little undercooked. He still would get a full preseason in, but just the emergence of para franchise finally at All Blacks level, I actually think he can get better than what he is as well. I think it's going to be hard for Sullivan to consistently break into the side, but having said that, he's got a huge future ahead of him, and it wouldn't surprise me if he does get a few runs as well.
It's interesting going the 10-15 angle because you're not going to become a better 10 than Para franchise. You know what I mean? You've got to become a better fullback than him if you want to get in the team. But I don't know if you're going to become a better 10 than Para franchise, who's played a hell of a lot of that as well. So
I can't wait for him to be the starting 10 next year, to be honest. Can we just see that now?
Yeah, that will be good. Nels, do you want to take us through the Smokies for the Blues?
Yeah, the first one's Sam Darry. I think you guys touched on it a little bit earlier. A young gun specialist lock at 203 centimeters tall. Actually, Cantabrian, who's signed with the Blues for 3 years. I think this might be his third year, actually. So, he's been there for a couple of years, and he is a very good player, and he is competing with Big Sauce, who we were talking about earlier, who is more of that hybrid. So it kind of depends what they're sort of looking for in the Blues. But if he does work his way into this starting side, he is a big boy. And, there's reports that he's a very good player coming through. The other one is Tanielu Talia. A couple years ago, this guy was setting the competition alight, and every chance he gets, he's a very, very exciting player. He's only one injury away from, potentially getting really good minutes. His competition is plumber as well if he shifts into that 12 jersey. But, we could see him at points, getting some runs in the centres to cover some of the All Blacks rest weeks. We could see him getting a chance if there's an injury. And if he is there, geez, he's a player you want on your fantasy side.
That's it. And remember, he started when he started his career at the Blues, he played a few games on the wing there as well. And he's
doesn't have many wings at the Blues though.
And and we've got him down as a smoky, but I think you can also chuck Bryce Heem in there as well. We were talking about Talea before. I forgot Bryce Heem existed, but I mean Heem's played 12, 13 wing for the Blues and everything. So exactly as Nell said, they're one injury away from Talea and Heem being right in there in the picture. You have to think so. All right. All right. Well, look, I think that'll round out the Blues.